Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know we still have some people joining, but chat is open if you want to leave a message and or ask a question or just talk to the other people in attendance. Today, we are going over reviews. And when I was putting together the materials for this presentation, I was actually got really excited because reviews is something that I don't think we've talked about a whole lot in this group. And today I'm going to be breaking down and giving you a review system or a framework, if you will, to implement at your law firm. So last month I talked a little bit about marketing plans for 2026, and I broke out my marketing plans into three categories. Referral marketing, which I feel like if you've been in this group a while, you know why we talk about referral marketing. It's probably one of the best ways to get in cases that have a high case value, right? Then we're doing marketing plans for the second category, which is lead generation. And then the third category is authority building. And when I was looking at like what could we do in that authority building category that'll really help these law firms, the law firms, get more cases, get more leads, improve their SEO, local SEO, all of this stuff. And really, all roads led back to reviews. And admittedly, I feel like I've neglected reviews for a lot of my clients because some of my law firms, they're just either good at getting reviews or they're not so good at getting reviews. And some people put like a huge importance on getting a ton of reviews, and some people put not that much importance on getting a ton of reviews. And so I really haven't developed, or I hadn't developed a review system just until recently, just these last few months. And really, it was bringing together all of these like disparate elements into one program. And that's what we're going to be going over today. We're going to be talking about all of the everything that goes into building a review framework for your law firm. So to start with, reviews fall under this authority building category because reviews are what is known as user generated content. And if you're not too familiar with what that is, user generated content is content generated by users on the internet. It's not the content that websites put out. It's not blogs. It's not company content or marketing. It's Reddit posts, it's reviews, it's anytime somebody tags you on social media, anytime somebody creates content on behalf of your website or your business. And sorry, Google and ChatGPT often look at user generated content and see it as being more authoritative than the website content we create or the content we post on our website or the marketing content we make. So user generated content really is kind of the gold standard of the internet. And user generated content also supplies a lot of data to ChatGPT and Google. And really, you don't have to look very far to see like an example of this because ChatGPT and Google, I think, both have deals with Reddit. And if you do many different types of searches using Google, Reddit is some of the first results that will appear in search. So generally, the internet has decided that Reddit is an authoritative source of information, and all of that is user-generated content. And also, just to give you another example of user-generated content, are on your Avvo or Justia bios, where they are asking us or the law firm to supply answers to user created questions on their platform because they use that information to help rank you on their platform. And also they use that user generated content, the content you are creating, to make their platform better overall. And so user generated content is this kind of gold standard on the internet. And for law firms, for us, for marketers of small businesses, reviews are probably the most important type of user generated content that we're in charge of cultivating. So I'm going to start with the very beginning. Basically, how I put this outline for this talk today is by answering a lot of the commonly asked questions that we get about reviews. And I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. And so the first question kind of naturally is, where should we get reviews? And the answer seems pretty obvious. Hold on one second. Okay, just making sure I was recording. But that's Google, right? Google is the gold standard of online reviews currently, although that could change. But they are certainly not the only review platform. Whenever we're looking at how do we increase reviews for our law firm, we're looking at all the different platforms. We're looking at Google, we're looking at Yelp, we're looking at Avvo, Better Business Bureau, and other directory websites that may offer some sort of review or ranking system. Really, on all of these platforms, we want to cultivate a review presence or a review library. But Google, by far, is the most important. And it makes sense when you think about it, because if you've ever pushed your SEO company or you yourself have been pushed to get better results from Google Business, the reply back to you or the law firm is usually more reviews, right? SEO companies really lean on those Google reviews to make a Google business listing perform really, really well, right? So Google reviews aren't just, a way for us to convince people to hire us. They're not just used to evaluate our services. They are literally a part of the ranking factor that Google uses to determine how they place our business in the map pack. So Google, reviews are important for that reason, but they're also important because that's the place people go to check on your reputation. And we'll be talking a little bit about that later in the talk today. So we're looking at all of the platforms and we're trying to increase our review count on all of these, including Yelp. Business owners, all of my business owners, really hate Yelp. If we've never talked about Yelp and I bring up Yelp, the first thing they say is how much they hate Yelp. But if you hate Yelp, type it in the chat. Yelp is kind of notorious. If you get a review on Yelp, it's probably like got a 75% chance of going into the not recommended folder, right? And whenever reviews land in that not recommended folder, people don't usually see them. And so you can work really hard to get a legitimate Yelp review and it not recommend or it not be recommended on the platform to viewers, right? So you can put all that work into getting that review and it not do anything for you. And the factors that influence if a review shows up on Yelp largely has to do with how active that person is on the platform, right? So when we talk about how do we cultivate Yelp reviews, we're usually talking about, okay, we have to figure out, are they Google users or are they Yelp users? Because if they're Yelp users, we need to send them to Yelp, right? But that's hard to do, and we'll get into some of the automations and stuff a little bit later. But Yelp is still very important. Depending in certain pockets of communities, Yelp is probably more authoritative as a review source than Google Business at large, or Google in general, right? And Yelp, or not Yelp, I'm sorry, Avvo also has reviews where people can leave reviews. Now, we haven't really collectively, we, the legal industry, I don't feel like has really paid a whole lot of attention to Yelp until maybe the last like 16 months or so. Because Yelp is one of those platforms that influences ChatGPT. And when you ask ChatGPT, who are the best lawyers in my region, they're going to look at Avvo. They're going to look at Justia. They're going to look at all of these other super lawyers. They're going to look at all of these directories. And if you're a super lawyer or you have a lot of Avvo reviews or you have a lot of Justia reviews, ChatGPT is going to use that information and potentially reach the conclusion that you are the best attorney in that category and present that data to people querying ChatGPT. So we haven't paid much attention to Yelp, but Yelp is still a place that is important in this whole review ecosystem. And then there's Better Business Bureau. I didn't really have too much to say about Better Business Bureau, except it's a high domain authority site. You should have a profile there. And it's always nice if you have some good reviews on Better Business Bureau. And then actually just this morning, I don't know if he's here on the call, but I was talking with one of my marketers who